Unit A2 of the Research and Innovation Director General of the European Commission. I have the pleasure to moderate this session on destination INFRADEV. I will also present this destination and some of the topics. Next, please. So destination INFRADEV is on developing, consolidating and optimizing the European research infrastructure landscape, maintaining global leadership. But before moving to the next slide, I want to remind you that the slide is open. You can have access from the InfoDay website in case you have not noted the link to the slide. Next, please. INFRADEV is the first destination of our work program. Next, please. And the main objective of this destination is to contribute to a strong, excellent, and impactful European research area by reinforcing research infrastructure capacity in Europe, the role at the global level, and the policy making in these fields. And to do this, it will create a world-leading, coherent, agile, and attractive research infrastructure landscape by ensuring coordination of effort and fostering alignment of priorities among member states and associated states, in particular with the help of ESFRI, the European Strategy Forum for Research Infrastructure. Indeed, under this destination, we will support both either the implementation of the ESFRI roadmap, but also we will support ESFRI in these activities. Then we also will work for the landscape by consolidating and reducing the fragmentation of the landscape at the European and national regional level. So integration and consolidation are its keywords here, and also by identifying the research infrastructure of the future with the so-called development of of concepts for new research infrastructure that were the former design studies under Horizon 2020. Another thing that we will do under this destination is to support the European strategy for research infrastructure, as well as activities to enhance the role of research infrastructure for international cooperation and science diplomacy. Indeed, the research infrastructure are one of the best means for doing science diplomacy, as demonstrated by the experience of SISMI, the synchrotron in Jordan, that now is supported by countries that usually are not going well between them, like Palestinians, Israel, Iran, and others, Jordan, and so on. So under this destination, we will support action for the landscape, action for international cooperation of research infrastructure, and action for policy strategy for research infrastructure in Europe. Next, please. The expected impact of this destination is disruptive research and breakthrough science and innovation through cutting-edge, interconnected, and sustainable research infrastructure. This is the impact that each topic should contribute to with a expected outcome. Then strengthen scientific excellence and performance and efficiency of the European research area, increasing its attractiveness to research from all over the world. Excellent research research infrastructure attract excellent research from all over the world. Then coordinate research infrastructure capacity among countries and regions. Reinforce the research and innovation capacity, enabling systemic change needed for a truly transformative societal and economic recovery. So indeed, we should also contribute to the recovery plan. Improve the European response in cooperation with international players to emerging socioeconomic and related scientific and technological challenges at global level. So those are the expected impact. And to conclude this first presentation, I want to remind you the topics that we will present under this destination. There are the topics included in the first 2021 call, 5 topics. The first 2 will be presented by my colleague Dominique Sobchak, the other by myself. The second call, as anticipated, will not be presented today, but we'll have a specific event in September, because those are the topics more related to the ESFRI process, and we will wait the publication of the new roadmap before organizing the INFRADEV for these two topics. And in 2022, we will have a call with only one topic for the new research infrastructure concept development. Now I close my presentation. I would like to give the floor to Dominic Sobczak for the presentation of the first two topics. Thanks, Dominic. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Lorenza, for this introduction, and good morning, everyone. I hope I'm well visible. I should be. So, my task today will be to present to you two first topics under the INFRADEV call. Just give me a second. Okay, normally you should be able to see my slides. So, the first topic is support to the European Strategy Forum on Research Infrastructures. And as many of you are probably familiar with the activities of the forum, it is a forum of member states and the European Commission that brings together the experts in the scientific field, in research infrastructures, the public authorities from member states and the Commission to discuss priorities for investment in research infrastructures. It's almost 20 years old now and has produced quite a lot of important outputs, including the S3 roadmap that incubated right now over 50 different research infrastructures at pan-European level, mobilizing the level of investment up to 20 billion euros. So that's quite substantial. And we are supporting traditionally the work of the forum and its activities with a project from the framework program. So we are calling on for another round of that project already now in 2021. So the call has been published together with the other ones. The deadline is in September, as you know. It will be a coordination and support action with a budget of up to 2.5 million euro. And we expect to be able to grant just one project because in reality, we need one project to support the forum. Now, okay, let's see. Okay, changes work. Good. So we are. As I mentioned, S3 brings together policymakers, funding bodies, and the scientific communities to discuss common priorities. It also has a lot of activities related to research infrastructure policy and pushing the agenda of more advanced development of research infrastructures in Europe. It is essential that we have a comprehensive support for the activities of the forum because activities of the forum are very broad and have a wide-ranging impact. So among the expected outcomes, we would like to see that the project enhances the efficiency, impact, and visibility of S3, its strategy, and different actions. We would like the project to contribute to a better structured and strengthened ecosystem of research infrastructure in Europe, reinforcing the competitiveness of the European research area, and also helping to coordinate and align research infrastructure policies and priorities at different levels, regional, national, and European, to bring that all together with the contribution of S3. In particular, the different activities that we expect the project to have is, first of all, the first batch of activities will be related to the S3 roadmap. As many of you know, we will now publish this year, later on this year, an S3 roadmap edition 2021, but we do plan to have the following roadmap in 2025, so this project would provide support for developing that roadmap. At the same time, we would like the project to help develop and execute S3 communication and outreach strategy, contribute to organizing different events and conferences that S3 lead, to strengthen S3 analytical capacity with the use of also external experts, different types of other activities that would support S3 policy making and also with the advancement of the S3 roadmap processes. We would like the project to provide effective evaluation and monitoring for research infrastructures on the S3 roadmap, of course, under the coordination of S3, and especially through the different analytical and ICT tools that S3 would use for that exercise. At the same time, we would see that the project would also include activities that would foster cooperation, exchange of experience and good practices between the different research infrastructures at different levels, their managers and stakeholders, as well as funding bodies. And finally, we envisage that the project would also continue to support the cooperation of ETRI with the development of the European Open Science Cloud, as well as any relevant activities or stakeholders at European and international level. So that's it for this topic. And I guess, Lorenza, that you would like me now to switch to the next one.
Yes, indeed.
So that will just require 1 more minute of your patience. And if everything goes well, now I will be able to present you the topic on strengthening the bilateral cooperation on infrastructures with Africa, and in particular in the area of improving the knowledge base on climate change. So again, here we have a coordination and support action with a budget of up to 1.5 million euro. In terms of other conditions, this is actually important, because this particular project, since it targets cooperation with Africa, we do expect, well, first of all, third countries are welcome, especially obviously from the African continent, but and that means that also African Union countries are eligible for funding. But we actually say that the consortia must include at least one legal entity established in an African country. We would like to see, however, definitely a proposal that would be more comprehensive than that would really engage the African partners in the project. Again, the deadline is quite short, on the 23rd of September, like many of the other calls that Lorenza was mentioning earlier. Now, okay, yes, it's changing, wonderful. So let's speak about a little bit about the details. So this topic, we would like to focus on the knowledge base and capacity in Africa in the area of research infrastructures for climate change, analysis and monitoring of climate change, and also overcoming climate change. So we would like that the activities that are foreseen in this project build on existing cooperation between African and European countries. We don't necessarily want to start everything from scratch. There are already activities that are ongoing between the two continents and between the research infrastructures that are on the two continents. So we should consider the potential contribution to the Global Health Observation System of Systems, GEOS. We should also take advantage of Copernicus, and access services of ICOS, which is one of the pan-European research infrastructures from the H3 roadmap, as well as the Atmospheric Observatory for Greenhouse Gases of the GRC and the World Meteorological Organization. We would like to frame the activities of this project in the broader context of the different activities that we have at European, international, and global level for monitoring of climate change. In view of expected outcomes, at a more policy level, we would like this project to contribute to the new EU strategy for Africa, notably within certain specific objectives related to climate change, like maximizing the benefit of the green transition, minimizing threats to the environment in full compliance with the Paris Agreement, and we would like to strengthen the capacity, research and innovation capacity, also with attention to female and young researchers in Africa. In particular, we would like to strengthen these capacities for climate change observation, which is the main area of the topic. And also, I would like this project to contribute to enhance Euro-African cooperation more broadly in research and innovation on measurements for climate change observation. Finally, a few more details on the scope. So, in general, as part of the activities, we would like the project proposals to foster EU-Africa cooperation to enhance climate observation capacity across Africa. So we would like really with this project to try to build stronger capacity and to bring in the African continent into the global landscape of climate observation, where we see that there is an important gap in comparison to a number of other continents. We would like the project to help share good practices and experiences to facilitate the development of a strategic approach for structuring research and innovation capacity at Pan-African level. We would like to give particular attention to tropical and subtropical Africa, which are currently the regions that are the least covered in terms of climate observation. So it's quite important if we want to have a global observation system that would cover quite well the different parts of the world. And this is one area where we see an important gap existing. At a more practical level, we would like the proposals to foresee how we could establish a concept for a Pan-African climate observation research infrastructures, which would be inspired by some of the activities that we have at European level for kind of pan-European research infrastructures related to climate observation. And that should include the underlying data infrastructure and the related digital transformation that is necessary for that kind of infrastructure to operate. We would expect that the attention would be paid to open and fair data principles in data management policy, which is right now kind of the main the key element of data policies that we try to promote, not only in Europe but also globally. We would like the project to also support the exchange of staff between several African countries and European research infrastructures to create better expertise, to try to upgrade human resources also in the field of research infrastructures in Africa, to share experiences and knowledge that we have on the governance of an operation of a research infrastructure, in particular in the context of the potential future integrated Pan-African research infrastructure for climate observation. So thank you very much for your attention on these two topics. I hope you find them interesting enough to seriously consider an application, and I would give the floor back to Lorenzo.
Thank you, Dominique. Thank you very much for your clear presentation. And now we conclude with the last three topics of this destination for the call 2021. Let's take the sorry. So first one is a transition to digital remote research infrastructure services provision, lesson learned, needs and best practices, the INFRADEV 0103. It's a coordination and support action, and I want to underline the fact that this is a coordination and support action because we do not expect any development of a new solution for facilitating this transition, but really it's more a collection of information, experience and best practice and spread of and sharing of these best practices. Total budget for this topic is 1.5 million with a contribution from 0.5 to 1.5 for each grant. There are no other specific conditions on this topic, and the opening and the deadline are the usual one for this call. As it has already opened last week and will close on 23 September. Next one. Why such a topic, why we want to facilitate the transition to digital remote service provision. Indeed, what's happened under the recent COVID pandemics make us realize and notice that indeed the sum of the research infrastructure had completely to stop their operation because they were not able to provide their services with the limitation in mobility, while others were able to react and to convert their services in virtual or remote services. So, I mean, this is something to keep into account. We would like really that this experience is shared and spread to increase, indeed those are the expected outcome of this grant, to increase the resilience of research infrastructure during the crisis, to reduce also the ecological footprint of research infrastructure activities. Indeed, if user does need to travel, they will not use the transport means that have an ecological impact. Therefore, the overall ecological footprint of research infrastructure activities would be optimized and reduced, and also will foster wider access to research infrastructure and the enlargement of their user base, because it will be easier to have access to research infrastructure. And next, please. Proposal under this topic should build, therefore, on the resilience strategy and approaches developed by the research infrastructure during the COVID emergency. And it is important also that they do not limit, they don't limit themselves to just a few examples or just example from one type of infrastructure, but they really try to cover as much as different type of research infrastructure in different disciplinary domains to investigate good practices, strategies, and lesson learned, as well as identifying the needs that were raised by this infrastructure for this transition, the risk also in providing remote and digital services, and also possible further technological development that would have been necessary to support the transition that were not there. So in some way, also gap analysis, what is missing to optimize this transition to virtual services. So they should identify, therefore, the solution, technologies, and software that enable secure, it's also a keyword, remote control of instrumentation and measurement, as well as strategies for providing support to remote users, because, I mean, we should not stop anyway to interact with the user only because we give virtual or remote services. So, I mean, we have also to optimize this aspect and also to develop guidelines to foster the transition to a digital remote provision of such infrastructure service. So in some way, the outcome must be really publicized and advertised and make more available to make all the research infrastructure aware of these possibilities, opportunities to move services, to optimize their service in such a way. And I will close on this topic and I will move to the next topics, next slides. Now we move to a very targeted topic, that is the support to national contact point for research infrastructure. So indeed, it's clear that this is of interest of a specific group of applicants and stakeholders. It's again a coordination and support measure with a total indicative budget of 2 million and an expected EU contribution per project between the 1.5 and 2 million. And here, as I said, indeed, the applicant should only be a Horizon Europe national contact point officially nominated by member states and or associated states. If a country has not yet appointed is a national contact point, the one that was in charge under Horizon 2020 could be eligible for participating in this grant. And also clearly we expect to fund only one program project under this topic. Again, opening and closure are the usual one with deadline on 23 September 2021. Next, please. The expected outcome from this topic are specific general one for all the NCP and specific one for research infrastructure. The general one are the improved professionalization of skills of national contact point across Europe, helping to simplify access to Horizon Europe call and lowering the entry barrier for newcomers and raising the average quality of proposals submitted. This is indeed a very important task that we really hope to get. And harmonized and improved the transnational cooperation between national contact point. And then the more specific one, increased awareness across the research community about the opportunity for access to research infrastructure offered by the Horizon Europe, strengthen the link between the research infrastructure and smart specialization strategy, who better than the national contact point that are there to make this task, and also to see complementarities between the RDF structural funds for research infrastructure and research infrastructure funded under the framework program, in particular to assist the research infrastructure to understand what can be supported by a structural fund and what instead is better supported by the framework program. Next, please. So proposal under this topic should facilitate the transnational cooperation between the national contact point, identifying and sharing good practices, and raising the general standard of support to program applicants. So we really want also that this topic is used by national contact point to really raise the competence level of the national contact point in all the country. To address also, we expect also that specific issue to research infrastructure will be addressed under the proposal, in particular the promotion of transnational virtual access opportunity. This is something that has already been done by our national contact point network under Horizon 2020. It has been very, very useful. So we expect that this should be continued, including also specific activities targeting widening countries to attract users from more users from this country, and also to increase awareness of the access provision rule. This is another important task, because indeed the access provision rule are not the simplest one, and so there is really need of evangelization of applicants about these rules. Then also proposal should cooperate with other policy international cooperation oriented measures for research infrastructure, for exchange of information and exploitation of synergies, and indeed not only the future one under Horizon Europe, but also the current one that have been supported in the last year and that are still running of Horizon 2020. To have a good representation of experienced and less experienced national contact point, indeed exactly for this transfer of experience and good practices to raise the overall level of a national contact point. And this another point is to cover the whole duration of Horizon Europe. This was indeed some things that under Horizon 2020 we had two different grants plus an extension, while indeed now we would like that this grant to cover the full 7-year cycle of Horizon Europe. And we can pass now to the last topic, INFRADEV 10105, that is the support to the infrastructure reflection group. Again, a coordination and support action with a total indicative budget per topic and per project of 0.3 million euro. Other conditions are that there should be a coordination effort with relevant project and IOSC governance from the proposal on this topic, and also there will be the obligation, there will be additional access right and dissemination obligation towards the IOSC partnership and association. As clearly we expect again that only one project is funded under this topic, and then timing opening a deadline as usual, closing on 23 September. Next slide, please. For the one that doesn't know, EDRG is an advisory body that brings together representatives from policymakers, funding bodies, and scientific community from member states and associated states to provide advice on policy making on infrastructure. The expected outcome of this topic should be cross-disciplinary and independent policy advice on digital matter related to IOSC and digital transformation of the European research area. A more inclusive infrastructure ecosystem will coordinate it with the S3 thematic cluster, but also with the S3 research infrastructure, and improve the coordination among the national counterpart of the European initiative, like the National Open Science Cloud, the National Research and Education Network, and BRAIN, the National Grid Infrastructure, NGI, and so on. Next, please. Proposal under this topic should indeed support the ERG members in carrying out their activities, in particular in strengthening the ERG analytical capacity, including also through the use of external experts when for drafting the ERG policy document, also to develop and publishing the policy paper and providing complementary advice and recommendation in the development of the infrastructure infrastructure area, to support again in ERG member in developing and implementing the ERG communication and outreach strategies, and in disseminating the results of ERG throughout the European research area, in liaising with ESFRI to jointly underpin the interworking of infrastructure with the ESFRI thematic cluster. And last but not least, we would expect that this is the last support we give to the ERG, because following the setup of the OSC Association and the OSC European Partnership, we would expect that after 2022, the ERG expertise should assimilate to the relevant new operational entities that have been set up in Europe. And with this topic, we move. We have finished now the presentation of the topics for this destination. Next, please, and next slide, please. And we should move to the question and answer session. I want to thank Dominique again for the participation to this session. In this question and answer session, I would be supported, I would be helped also by other colleagues, in particular by Jimena Arango Montenez and Pierre Turquemont, also in addition to Dominique Sobczak for answering to your question. So let's start with the question. We can see on the screen the more voted question. Will slides be made available? Yes, indeed. We will make them available after the event. So you can find them on the INFRADEV website. Second question, some of this call needs the support of other project research infrastructure. We are probably not part of the project. Do they have support this without funding? Some of this. I think that this request is more related to the next destination. However, it is true that sometimes some contribution to the grant can come from external participant. An external participant means, this third party that can be subcontract, can be a third party providing kind contribution for free, or can be also provider of purchased services. So those are three type of third party that can contribute to the project selected under the topic, and indeed it's clear that when we deal with a subcontract or provider of purchase service, they can be reimbursed. When we deal with a third party providing kind contribution free of charge, clearly their contribution will be not reimbursed, even if it can be charged to the grant. I see what is Annex A to the Research Infrastructure Work Program. Annex A, it's not an annex to the Research Infrastructure Work Program, it's an annex, it's a one general annexes. So you can find in the general annexes of the total work program. If you go on the funding and tender portal, when you find all the work program, there will be also the part that is called the general annexes, and under general annexes you will find the Annex A to the work program. However, if you are mentioning Annex A, I want to remind you that now the list of associated country, inter-country eligible for funding, it's no more under Annex A to the general annexes. It is instead in the work program guidelines. It is another document that you can find on the funding and tender portal. And I think we have finished the question, no specific question topic, so everything was clear apparently. Then I would close this session. Thanks again to all participants and to the speakers. and see you in the next session, InfraServe, that will start at 10:45. Thank you. Okay.